After the desire to ask to revive all the eliminated universes, something would happen, something that no one expected. A warrior who had been eliminated by Zeno long before the existence of the gods of destruction. It is said that that day, Zeno used 80% of his total power. That warrior belonged to a universe that did not even have a name, as well as the universe 7 or 6 was called the Forbidden Universe, because there already lived warriors never seen before with unimaginable powers. Because this universe was the first that Zeno created. So he made mistakes, and thus created this universe. Although none could match Zeno, there was the possibility that at some point they would do it. However, nobody knew about this. With them, he revived an angel who had been eliminated by his own brother and erased by Zeno. This angel was called Mikoshin. Mikoshin was very powerful, and so she was the sister of Grand Priest. However, she wanted to be the protector of Zeno, but her brother won her position and stayed with the position of Angel Defender of the Forbidden Universe. This seemed horrible to Mikoshin, because an angel with such power could not only defend the universe, she wanted to be the most important in the multiverse. And that's how her plan began. At first, she was obedient to the orders of her older brother and Zeno. She accepted her position as Angel Defender. Remember that there were no gods of destruction yet. Mikoshin was the only one in charge of creation and destruction. One day Mikoshin wandered through the planets and felt a power out of the ordinary. This power, to give us an idea, was compared to Goku's perfected Ultra Instinct. Mikoshin, when he felt such power, did not hesitate to come to find out because he felt that if he trained that warrior correctly, his plan to dethrone and defeat Grand Priest with Zeno would be carried out without any error. Mikoshin approached and introduced herself. "I am the Angel Defender of this universe, and the Guardian and Destroyer. I am practically everything this universe needs to survive." The warrior said, "And that I care." Mikoshin would laugh and say, "Do not be so arrogant, mortal. With a simple movement I can defeat you and eliminate you, so it's convenience for you to follow my orders." The warrior said, "Well, I want to see it." Mikoshin would propose something. "If you manage to touch me, I will leave you in peace and I will not eliminate you. But if you do not manage to touch me, you will have to thank me because it is convenient for you as much as for me." The warrior said okay, and the battle would begin. Mikoshin dodged and dodged. The warrior had no chance, and with a single blow from his staff, he managed to make the warrior faint. Hours later, Mikoshin would approach the warrior and tell him everything he needs from him to become extremely powerful and can accompany him to defeat those two beings. His plan was to get a group of warriors that contained Grand Priest so that she can go to defeat Zeno. That was his plan. Warrior accepted in exchange for once he eliminates Grand Priest, he will be able to rule all the universes. For Mikoshin, he would be an insignificant warrior, so he would accept. And in his mind he thought that once his plan was complete, he would eliminate the warrior, and she would rule. And that was how his plan began. They both traveled together in search of warriors with absolute potential. But it was complicated. They would waste time, so they decided to train at once. For this, Mikoshin would create a time machine from his staff, and there they would both enter, training indefinitely. Thanks to the fact that Mikoshin was such a powerful angel, he could hide his energy next to that space, so it was practically impossible for Grand Priest to know what it was. Inside that room, they would both train for many years. Mikoshin would teach him different forbidden techniques that he would only have to use in extreme cases. The warrior would reach exorbitant powers because thanks to being training with the sister of the Grand Priest, indirectly, whether he wants or not, his power would grow exponentially. There came a time when the warrior rivaled with 50% of Mikoshin. Mikoshin would be surprised, and in his mind he thought that he would be able to defeat Grand Priest. Thanks to the idea of eliminating the warrior once they defeat Grand Priest and Zeno, It became more and more difficult because if he continued to take this step, he would end up overcoming her. But revenge was more important for her to see her brother suffer, and begging him to forgive her life was more for her. And with the fact of imagining what she would be like ruling the multiverse, made her more and more ecstatic. Years would pass and both warriors would become much stronger. The warrior had managed to equalize the power of Mikoshin to his 100%, and for brief flashes was superior. Both felt that they were ready, so they tried to gather more powerful warriors to accompany them on their mission. Few warriors, rather no one, knew they were about to face the god of everything and the Grand Priest. Far from being unaware of their existence, Mikoshin had told them that if they fought he would grant them any wish they wanted, and many accepted. The day of the rebellion came, everyone gathered on a planet and went towards the Zeno palace. Their Grand Priest received them, who more or less imagined it because when he wanted to see what Mikoshin was doing, she was simply not there, which seemed very strange to him. Grand Priest was the first to speak. "Sister, what brings you here?" Mikoshin said, "I have come to eliminate you, damn. You do not know how much shame you made me suffer by taking away the position of Grand Priest. We had already agreed on that, but for some reason, that headless boy chose you. Your time has come, brother. This warrior that you see here, as you see it, is stronger than me, and we could both defeat you in a blink of an eye because I have also trained. I will go to kill that dwarf, and my companions will fight you. Your time has come, Grand Priest." Grand Priest would be surprised since he expected anything less than that. Mikoshin would launch himself against Zeno, but his two guards would stand in front of him to protect him. Zeno was stunned. He never expected a rebellion in such a short time. The warrior fought against Grand Priest, only because the others were already motionless on the ground. Surprisingly, the warrior was slightly superior. However, Grand Priest had to reveal his true form. The whole place would tremble, and his true form would be revealed. He was taller, more muscular. Grand Priest added, "I have only used this form after fighting the Zeno Guardians. Feel privileged." Grand Priest, in a blink of an eye, would massively hit the warrior. However, the warrior said, "And do you think I am using 100% of my power?" The warrior would use his 100% of his power, and to the surprise of this, Grand Priest raised his power even more, saying, "This is my 80% of my total power." Grand Priest in the end managed to beat the warrior, but he was very equal to 80% of his power, implying that if the warrior prepared more, he could easily defeat him. After defeating the warrior, Grand Priest would go to help the Zeno Guardians because they were being surpassed by Mikoshin. Mikoshin would finish defeating the Guardians, and Zeno would be forced to merge with his guards because that was not his true form. Grand Priest and Zeno would fight against Mikoshin. It would be an intense battle. But in the end, they would end up defeating Mikoshin and Zeno. They would end up eliminating Mikoshin and the warrior, and from there Zeno would win. Zeno decided that he would create gods of destruction that would take care of the destruction and eliminate the disorder of his universe, and that the angels would serve as guides and advisors, nothing more. They could not allow an angel to make decisions for himself because something similar would happen at some point. Grand Priest would create his children and Zeno more universes, and everything would be as in the original story, to the point that the wish was fulfilled. Everyone would return to their homes, universes, etc. Hidden would be surprised that there was such a powerful mortal. Goku and his friends would celebrate their victory with a great party. Everyone would be happy, except Whis, who was thoughtful. everyone would realize, since without a doubt, he was the one who enjoyed food the most on Earth next to Beerus. Goku would approach him and ask him. Whis answered, "Yes, Mr. Goku, all good. Just that I feel something in my chest, like a bad feeling." Goku would stay thinking, but in the end he would ignore it and go on eating. Beerus, who was next to Whis, I asked him, "What you feel, Whis?" Whis answered, "I feel that something bad will happen." Both would withdraw from the party without saying a word. The Z warriors would be surprised by this action because it was not normal for Whis and Beerus to leave after having just started the party. The party continued to the point where everyone would go to sleep. On the other hand, both gods were on the planet of Beerus. Whis would call the Netherworld and ask him if he has nothing to tell us. The Netherworld tried to give an answer but collapsed. Everything that was happening was very strange. The Netherworld turned its head over and over again. It created a terrifying scene, and more for Whis because he had never seen the weight of the ass like this in his existence. Whis would be forced to sleep because if he continued like this, there is no doubt that he would die. This situation left more doubts than answers. At that very moment, he would call the neighboring angel of Universe 7, Vados. His tone was scared, worried, because he did not know anything about Champa. Whis said, "But less than a day ago the Tournament of Power ended. I suppose that both went to their planet." Vados sits down, but added, "This morning, Champa was having breakfast with me, but from one moment to another, he disappeared. All this is very strange. I will go to see his Kaioshin. Be careful, brother, take care." Vados would cut the call, leaving Whis worried. Beerus would listen to everything and would be willing to go to Universe 6 to look for his brother, because what a coincidence that Whis is like this and his brother disappears. All this made him very suspicious. Whis would make a call telling Goku and Vegeta to take care of the universe and that they would possibly be absent for a couple of days. Both would feel leaving them with the doubt that this is what happened. Both gods would travel to Universe 6. The environment they found on the planet of the god of the destruction of Universe 6 was totally quiet. There was no person or presence, there was nothing. Whis would contact his sister, but she would not answer. Whis was very surprised that Vados did not answer, so both gods decided to travel to the planet of the Kaioshin, because the last record of Vados was there. Hours would pass and they would reach the planet. What they would find would leave them speechless. The planet was destroyed, with a lot of destruction. There was no trace of anyone, or Vados. There was only his baculum. There was the call that Whis made hours ago. Both gods would be scared and would immediately return to Universe 7 so that they could use the Kai and inform everything to Zeno-sama. Beerus and Whis appeared in a flash of light on the planet of the Kaioshin of Universe 7. The air there was quiet, too much compared to what they had just witnessed. Shin left his temple when he felt the sudden presence of the two. Somewhat disconcerted, "Mr. Beerus? Whis? What happens?" Shin asked with an insecure voice. Beerus looked at him with severity as he rarely did. "Leave the questions and immediate of everything." The Kaioshin shriveled. He had never seen the god of destruction so serious. With trembling hands he raised his ring and began to invoke the technique. A bright arrow appeared in front of them, opening towards infinity. Whis did not turn away from that entrance. He knew that what was coming could change everything. When crossing the portal, they were received by the immensity of the palace of Zeno-sama. The two Zeno played like children, throwing small planets as if they were rubber balls. The innocence of their faces contrasted with the seriousness of the moment. There was also the Grand Priest watching in silence. His expression, usually imperturbable, tightened when he saw the face of Whis and the nervousness in Beerus's gestures. Whis bowed respectfully. "Father, we have gone to Universe 6. Everything was destroyed. There is no trace of Champa or Vados. We only found my sister's Bakuro." The Grand Priest remained silent for a few seconds. Then he slowly lowered his gaze, and for the first time in a long time, he let a slight gesture of disconcert escape. The Zeno noticed it and stopped their game. The Grand Priest raised his Bakuro and began to project circles of light. They were visions of different moments in universal history, fragments of buried memories made in countless eras. Whis watched attentively, while Beerus squeezed his fists more and more impatiently. "It cannot be." The Grand Priest murmured, "I myself participated in his elimination." Whis arched his eyebrows. "What are you talking about, Father?" The Grand Priest breathed slowly, as if he were carrying an impossible weight to share. The desire of number 17 revived more than we imagined. When he asked that all the erased universes re-exist, the desire was so pure, so absolute, that it did not distinguish between the universes recently eliminated and those erased long before the creation of the gods of destruction. Beerus tightened. "Are you saying that—" The Grand Priest took it seriously. Yes, the echoes of the Forbidden Universe were also restored. With them, Mikosen and the warrior that we once faced. Whis opened his eyes, unable to hide his surprise. "The Forbidden Universe? That is impossible. I thought that story was just a legend." The Grand Priest slowly nodded. "No, my son. That universe existed. It was the first to be created. It was the first to exist."
One by one, the places destined for each god and each angel were illuminated, and then they were turned off when they did not receive an answer. The High Priest frowned, his face now showing the real weapon. "It cannot be," Whis, with a broken voice, asked. "Father, what does this mean?" The High Priest squeezed his staff hard. "It means that only you two have survived. The others have disappeared." The silence that followed was so heavy that not even the breasts dared to speak. Beerus swallowed saliva. "Incredible! You mean that of all the gods and angels, only Whis and I are left?" The High Priest looked down, his face full of a concern that he had never shown. "That's right. Something or someone has erased the rest. And if Mikosen has really returned, along with that mortal whom he trained, we must act immediately." Whis looked at him fixedly, with a contained voice. "Father, that warrior you yourself chose, who came to rival your 80%. If so, none of us could stop him now." The High Priest closed his eyes. He remembered that battle lost in time, when Mikkelsen challenged the order and almost managed to snatch the position of Supreme Guardian of Zeno from him. He reminded the mortal that she trained, a being that grew at an impossible rate, to the point of shaking the very hierarchy of the angels. Suddenly, he opened his eyes, and a different determination shone in them. If Mikkelsen was able to train a mortal to that level, then I can do it too. Beerus arched an eyebrow, surprised. "What are you saying?" The high priest supported the staff on the ground, and his voice resonated throughout the palace. "We must bring here the two mortals with the greatest potential for growth. Those who have broken their limits over and over again, overcoming barriers that seemed impossible. They will be our only hope." Whis understood instantly. "Goku and Vegeta, right?" "Father," the high priest agreed. "Exactly. If I trained them personally, we could have warriors capable of facing Akos." Beerus opened his mouth, surprised. As stubborn and proud as he was, he could not hide the impression of hearing those words. "You will train those too? Not even us, the gods of destruction, have you given us such a privilege." The high priest looked at him with severity. "Because it was never necessary, but now the entire multiverse depends on them." With a movement of his staff, the high priest extended his energy towards Universe 7. On Earth, Goku and Vegeta immediately felt an overwhelming presence that enveloped them. Both looked at each other at the same time, with their hearts accelerated. "What is that key?" Vegeta asked, surprised. "I don't know, but it's huge. It looks like Whis, but even stronger." Goku replied with a smile full of emotion. The light of the staff enveloped them, and in a blink they appeared in the room of the palace of Zeno. In front of them, the two Zenos looked at them with curiosity, and the high priest stood still with his eyes fixed on the two Saiyan. Goku looked around, surprised. "Eh? What are we doing here?" The high priest took a step towards them. "They are Goku. Vegeta has called them because he has begun a threat that surpasses everything they have faced so far. A threat that even I could not contain." Vegeta squeezed his fists. "What are you talking about?" The high priest observed them solemnly. "You too will be trained by me." The echo of those words resonate throughout the palace. Goku opened his eyes amazed. Vegeta held his breath. Incredible! Beerus almost choked on the surprise. And Whis, although he always kept calm, could not hide a slight smile of pride. His father was willing to entrust the fate of the multiverse to the mortals that he himself had guided for years. The path to the final battle had begun. For those who wonder why Grand Priest cannot face it alone, it is because the warrior has the ability to absorb powers, and if he already absorbed the 12 gods of destruction, Grand Priest doesn't even know how to face it alone. Goku swallowed saliva, and then smiled with that naive brightness, but full of fire in his eyes. "Do you really want to train us?" The high priest tilted his head slightly. "That's right, they are Goku. If Mikkelsen was able to create such a powerful warrior that even I was afraid to face him, then I must form an equal or superior one. And you too have the ability to break the limits of the known power." Vegeta took a step forward with a mix of pride and distrust. And what are we supposed to do? We already dominate the Ultra Instinct and the Ultra Ego. Grand Priest responded with serenity. That's just the surface. What they will learn goes beyond the techniques of the gods. They will learn to manipulate the very essence of creation. Beerus watched him bewildered. Are you saying you plan to teach them the power of the angels? The high priest looked at him with a slight smile. Not exactly. They cannot become angels, but they can reach a superior form that combines the instinct of the gods with the pure will of the mortals. Whis frowned, surprised even by their standards. A superior form to the Ultra Instinct? Grand Priest scented. The original form, the power that we, the angels, stop using to maintain balance. And a forbidden chemical energy that Nicholson also knew but corrupted? The atmosphere became tense. Beerus swallowed saliva, and Vegeta frowned, intrigued. And a bidden energy? Yes, answered the high priest. The one that allows you to modify the laws of reality. The energy of pure creation. But only someone with a heart free from corruption can use it without being consumed. The breasts leaned forward, curious. Will Goku be able to use it? The priest looked at them and scented. Yes, but it will take time. A lot of time. He extended his staff towards the void, and a giant crack opened in the air. From that crack emanated a white light that expanded like a wave. The entire space of the palace began to deform and then stabilized into a new reality. What is going on? Goku asked, amazed. The high priest answered solemnly, I have created an out-of-time dimension. A place where they will train under my rules. Here, one day equates to 1,000 years away. Their body, their mind, and their energy will be destroyed and rebuilt thousands of times. Only then will they reach perfection. Whis and Beerus looked at each other with solemn expressions. The training that would make them face the powers one daren't even name had begun.
Whis watched him closely. Father, that dimensional technique I thought was forbidden even among the angels. The high priest sighed. It doesn't matter anymore. If we don't act, there won't be any universe. Beerus tried to hide his nervousness. Nah, I'm not going to stay here watching how those two train. I'll go too. I won't let my cousin make fun of the gods again. Whis smiled subtly. I guess that includes me participating too. The high priest nodded with a gesture. Perfect. 4 warriors. 4 destinies. The light enveloped them all. In an instant, the palace completely disappeared before them. What appeared in its place was an infinite space, white and golden, without horizon or sky. In the air floated spheres of energy the size of planets, spinning slowly, emitting a rhythmic pulse. It was like being inside the heart of the multiverse. Goku took his hand to his forehead. This place is incredible. The high priest looked at him seriously. In here, his power will be tested. There will be no rest. There will be no food or sleep. Only the flow of time and his will. Vegeta clenched his fists. TSK. Perfect. It was just what I needed. Beerus dived, trying to keep the composure. This is crazy, but if my cousin is alive, I'm not going to stay behind. Grand Priest extended his shield and the ground began to vibrate. From the energy itself emerged silhouettes made of pure light. They were warriors formed from the memory of the forbidden universe. Each one radiated a force comparable to that of the gods of destruction. "These are your initial tests," said the priest. "To master the true divine energy, you must survive first to the reflection of the past." Goku smiled from ear to ear. "So let's get started." The light warriors threw themselves on them. The first impact shook the whole dimension. Beerus released his purple aura. Whis moved like a flash. Vegeta roared, transforming into Ultra Ego, and Goku activated the Ultra Instinct with perfect calm. But the Great Priest did not smile. He looked in the silence, calculating each movement, each vibration in the air. He knew it wasn't just a training. That dimension, in some way, was being observed from the outside. In a corner of the multiverse, a dark hole opened. Two figures emerged out of nowhere. Mikoshin, with a serene face and cold eyes, walked next to an imposing-looking warrior with grayish skin and a black aura like the night. Akos. "So Grand Priest has finally made his decision," said Mikoshin with a twisted smile. "Training mortals, what irony!" Akos squeezed his fists. "It doesn't matter how much they train. When I finish with them, there will be nothing left to protect." Mikoshin raised his face, looking at the cookie that connected with the dimension of time. "Enjoy your training, little gods. When they get out of there, it will be too late." The whole multiverse trembled. The passage of time within that dimension was impossible to perceive. A second outside was equivalent to 1,000 years in there. But for Goku and Vegeta, that didn't make sense. The only thing that mattered was to exceed the limits, reach the unreachable. The Great Priest watched in silence, floating in the air, while the white ground of the dimension crumbled under the blows of both Saiyan. The shock waves expanded like divine waves, altering the flow of time. "Incredible," murmured Whis. "Marvelous. They have been here less than an hour, outside, but inside they have spent years." Beans, who was resting with his arms crossed, could not hide the mixture of pride and concern. If they continue like this, those two will destroy the place before dominating it. The Great Priest kept his eyes fixed. "Leave them. Sometimes to create something new, you have to destroy the previous." At that moment, Goku fell on his knees, exhausted, while his silver aura was extinguished. His breathing was deep, but his eyes shone with a determination that Grand Priest had never seen in a mortal. "Again," said Goku, getting up slowly. "Again, please." The Great Priest felt, and with a movement of his scapula, generated a copy of himself made of pure energy. "Very good, Son Goku. But remember, to reach true instinct, it is not enough to react. You must be one with nothing. Do not think, do not feel, only exist." Goku closed his eyes. His mind was submerged in a total emptiness. The sound disappeared. Time stopped. Suddenly, his body moved by instinct, anticipating the blow of Grand Priest before it even happened. The angel opened his eyes surprised. So he is getting it.
But it was not just Goku. In the distance, Vegeta roared while his body released purple energy so intense that the ground melted under his feet. His veins shone like liquid fire, his hair frayed, and his eyes showed a brownish hue mixed with violet. "I think I'll stay behind," Kakarot grumbled, while his power grew uncontrollably. Grand Priest appeared between them, watching them closely. "The difference between you and the gods is clear," he said with a solemn voice. "The gods dominate the power, but you defy it. That is the key." Time in the dimension continued to flow. Thousands, millions of years for them. Wisp had lost count of how many times they had destroyed and reconstructed that world. Each explosion was a symphony of power, each fall a lesson. One day, if I could call it a day, something changed. Goku was sitting in a meditation position, surrounded by a stable silver aura. Suddenly, his body began to shine with a tone between white and blue. The energy was so pure that even the baculum of the great priest vibrated. Wisp took a hand to his chest. "It can't be." Beerus stepped back, feeling such an overwhelming pressure that it was hard for him to breathe. "What the hell is that?" The ground began to crack, and an explosion of light filled the entire dimension. When the light dissipated, Goku floated in the air. His hair was completely white, but with blue reflections. His eyes shone with a golden glow. His chin emitted no sound. It was absolute silence. The great priest smiled. Phase 3 Ultra Instinct. Harmony between body, soul, and creation. Goku slowly opened his eyes. His voice was calm, almost divine. "I feel everything, but at the same time, nothing." Grand Priest felt it with respect. "You have reached the point that not even modern angels can achieve." A few meters away, Vegeta was standing, with heavy breathing. His body emanated purple energy mixed with reddish tones. His hair had acquired a darker purple hue, and his eyes had golden electric sparks. "Don't tell me that clown didn't make it first." He grinned with a twisted smile. Grand Priest turned to him. "And you, Prince, have crossed another limit. You have released the Ultra Ego Phase 2 evolution." The air distorted around him. Each step of Vegeta left cracks in space. "My power responds to my will. I don't need mercy or balance, only pride." The great priest looked at them both, with an expression that mixed pride and some fear. For the first time in millennia, I felt the difference of power between him and other beings. Incredible, even I could not stop them now. Wisp watched in silence, with a nostalgic smile. It seems that the mortals that once guided have become real gods. Beerus released a nervous laugh. TCH knew it. Someday those idiots were going to surpass us. But Goku didn't smile. His look was serious, firm. The great priest believed that we no longer needed to continue training. The priest looked at him calmly. "What are you saying?" "I can feel it," Goku replied. "My kitchen is moving. And that warrior that accompanies her has grown even more. We can't wait." Vegeta crossed his arms with his typical security. "Kakarot is right. If we continue here, we will only waste time. It's time to test this power." The great priest kept silent for a few seconds. Then, with a solemn gesture, he raised the scalpel. "Very good. But remember, that enemy does not govern by the laws of the universe. My kitchen is no longer a simple angel. Its essence merged with chaos itself.
Goku closed his eyes, smiling. "Then it will be funny." Vegeta released a serious laugh. "If I die, let it be fighting." The great priest watched them with pride. "It be. Your training is over. Get out of this dimension and face your destiny." The light engulfed them. In an instant, Goku and Vegeta disappeared from the place, leaving behind a dimension that began to collapse due to the excess of accumulated power. Grand Priest looked at the void where the Saiyan were before. Maybe they are the last hope that this multiverse will have. Meanwhile, on the edge of the Forbidden Universe, Mikoshin and Akos watched a diet open in the tissue of space. "They're coming," said Mikoshin, smiling serenely. "Yes, but this time there will be no mercy," Akos responded, activating his black aura. "What happens now will decide the fate of everything."
The dimensional door opened, and the air became dense. On the other hand, Mikoshin was waiting for them with a smile of superiority, while Akos watched in silence, radiating an energy that seemed to suck the life out of the environment. The ground shattered as soon as they crossed the portal. Space curled. The nearby planets became dust. Mikoshin spoke first. "So this is the result of your training, Grand Priest. 2 mere mortals? Is that your great hope?" Vegeta took a step forward. "We are not mere mortals. We are the Saiyan who destroyed the limits of power." Goku raised his gaze, his aura shining. "And we will not let them destroy the multiverse." Silence was replaced by an explosion. In an instant, the battle began. Goku threw himself directly against Mikoshin. His huge speed forced him to retreat. Each hit of Goku generated expansive waves that crossed kilometers. Their movements were invisible to the common eye. Mikoshin defended himself with precision, his baculum spinning in spirals of divine energy that blocked each attack with thousands of difference. Vegeta appeared from behind, concentrating his destructive energy on the right fist, Akai. The blow hit the barrier of Mikoshin, breaking it into thousands of fragments of light. She retreated several meters, surprised. "I did not think the mortals could overcome this dimension," murmured. "Do not underestimate the Saiyan," replied Vegeta with a defiant smile. "Our pride has no limits." Meanwhile, the great priest had begun his confrontation with Akos. The clash of both was more than a fight. It was the collapse of 2 opposite concepts, order and chaos. Every time their baculum met, reality trembled. Grand Priest dominated control, but Akos absorbed the energy of the environment, adapting, growing every second. "You can't win, old man," said Akos. "I absorb the essence of each blow of yours. The more you fight, the more you strengthen me." Grand Priest squeezed the baculum. "Then I will have to go beyond my limits." He released his original form, a manifestation of pure energy. His size and presence grew. The white light of his power covered the firmament. Despite this, Akos resisted. In each exchange, his body seemed to regenerate instantly. Goku and Vegeta felt the energy of the great priest shake. Goku looked in that direction, restless, but Mikoshin did not give them a chance. "Do you think you can save him? First, you will have to go over me." The battle intensified. Vegeta received a direct impact, but instead of retreating, his power increased even more. "That was a mistake," he said, smiling arrogantly. "The more you hurt me, the stronger I become." Vegeta concentrated his energy in a violet sphere that caused the earth to collapse under his feet. Goku, synchronizing his ki, created a combination between his Ultra Instinct and the mastery of time that he had learned from Grand Priest. Both attacked together. The fusion of their auras caused the entire environment to explode in a blinding light. Mikoshin was pushed tens of kilometers. However, his energy remained intact. "Impressive, but this is just the beginning," he said with a cold smile. At that very moment, a shake traveled the battlefield. Goku turned his head and saw something that paralyzed him. The great priest was being absorbed. Akash held him with one hand while a dark whirlwind enveloped him. "Master!" Goku screamed. Without thinking, he disappeared in a flash and materialized in front of them. Mikoshin tried to stop him, but Vegeta intercepted him with a kick that threw him against a mountain of energy. Goku appeared just when Akash absorbed the power of the great priest. His energy exploded. The Ultra Instinct, Phase 3, expanded to levels never seen before. The earth, the air, and the void itself were curved. With a scream that made the universe vibrate, Goku unleashed the Kaioken for 20 on the Ultra Instinct. The color of his aura changed, mixing red tones with silver flashes. His power shot to unimaginable levels. "Get away from him!" Goku appeared in front of Akash in a blink and gave him such a powerful kick that the space broke into lines of light. Akash shot thousands of meters, destroying everything in his path. The great priest fell on his knees, weakened. Goku held him between his arms, his breathing altered. "Master, hold on, don't give up." Taishin Tan looked at him with a serene expression. "Goku, it's too late for me. My power and my knowledge must continue with you." "Don't say that. You can still—" The great priest denied with a slight head movement. "Listen carefully. Akash is not an ordinary enemy. He has absorbed the power of several universes, even part of mine. But you have the energy that can balance chaos. Protect Zeno and the order of everything that exists." He placed his hand on Goku's chest. A current of white energy ran through the Saiyan's body, merging part of the great priest's essence with his. His aura rose even more. The Kaioken stabilized next to the Ultra Instinct, generating a never-seen-before glow. The Grand Priest's body began to shine, fading slowly in a whirlwind of light. "Thank you for exceeding the limits of the gods," he whispered. The wind rose, enveloping the whole place in a golden glow. In a few seconds, the great priest completely vanished, leaving only his scabbard broken on the ground. Goku remained motionless for a few seconds, looking at the void, until he closed his fists with force. His energy grew again. The entire forbidden universe began to tremble. Vegeta appeared next to him, with his violet aura burning. "What happened, Kakarot?" "Grand Priest trusted me with everything. I will not let his sacrifice be in vain." Both Saiyan looked towards the horizon. Akash returned, his energy more dense than ever. Mikoshin joined his side furious. "There is no one left to protect them," she said. Goku took a deep breath. "We do not need protection. From this moment on, we are the last defense of the multiverse." The aura of both grew so much that the stars began to go out in the distance. The final battle was about to begin, and for the first time, the power of the mortals had equaled and perhaps surpassed that of the gods themselves. "No matter how many times they try," said Mikoshin coldly, "they are mortals playing to be gods." Vegeta squeezed his fists. "Then you will see what the mortals are capable of." the fight resumed. Goku disappeared from everyone's sight and reappeared behind Mikoshin, throwing a burst of blows that forced him to retreat. Vegeta, at the same time, collided head-on with Akos. The explosions shook the space, creating expansive waves that crossed entire dimensions. For a moment, it seemed that Goku and Vegeta dominated. But then, Akos and Mikoshin began to coordinate their attacks. Mikoshin released an ancient seal that multiplied his power, while Akos expanded his absorbed energy of the Great Priest. The sky of the Forbidden Universe turned black. Goku received a direct impact that threw him against a mountain of crystallized energy. Vegeta tried to cover him, but Mikoshin appeared in front of him and knocked him down with a burst of divine light. Vegeta got up, with his body surrounded by cracks of energy. "Damn it! Kakarot, this doesn't look good." Goku wiped the blood off his face, smiling with that calm that only he could have. "Yes, I know, but we haven't used everything we have yet." Akos advanced slowly. Surrender! Their fate was already decided from the moment they were born as mere mortals. Goku squeezed his teeth. "You don't understand. The limits exist only to break." Both Saiyajin threw themselves again, their auras momentarily fusing in a power explosion. But the result was the same. Akos blocked with a single hand, and Mikoshin deflected each attack effortlessly. Vegeta fell on his knees, exhausted. "No, it can't be. We can't even beat him with this." Goku looked at him seriously. "Vegeta, there's a way." "No, don't even say it, Kakarot." "It's the only option. You already know I hate that technique. And you also know that when we fight together, nothing can stop us." Vegeta closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and finally assumed, "Okay, but if it goes wrong, I'll be responsible." Both looked at each other, raising their arms in position. Mikoshin watched them, intrigued. "What are you doing?" Akos took a step back, feeling the change in the energy. "Fusion," they shouted in unison. "Ah!" A blinding light enveloped the battlefield. The pressure was so brutal that the remains of nearby planets disintegrated. When the light dissipated, a single figure floated in the air. His hair mixed the silver tones of Ultra Instinct with the violet reflections of Ultra Ego. His gaze was serene, but his power infinite. "So in the end, they decided to unite," said Mikoshin with a tense smile. The voice of the new fusion resounded firmly. "I am Gogeta, and this ends here." Akos smiled. "Incredible! A new name will change your fate?" Gogeta disappeared. He reappeared in front of Mikoshin and hit him with such force that his body went through a chain of mountains of energy. Akos reacted, but Gogeta was already behind him, holding his face with one hand and throwing him against the ground. The explosions of ki multiplied one after another, generating flashes that illuminated the void. Mikoshin tried to help, but Gogeta advanced, crossing his defense with a fist covered with divine energy. She fell to the ground, defeated. Akos, enraged, threw himself with everything he had. His power was colossal, but Gogeta equaled it in every movement. "You do not understand what you do," Akos shouted. "I am the evolution of fear." "And I am the union of everything that surpasses it," answered Gogeta, raising his energy to the maximum. His aura became a storm of light and darkness combined. With a final roar, Gogeta channeled all his strength in a last attack. The collision between the two generated an explosion that shook time itself. When the light dissipated, Akos fell on his knees, his energy dispersing slowly. Mikoshin, barely conscious, watched him in despair, No, this can't be. Gogeta, floating, looked down. It's over. Kakari and both warriors would disappear from existence. Their bodies began to separate. The fusion had reached its limit. Goku and Vegeta reappeared.
Los brazos, con una leve sonrisa. Supongo que era inevitable, Kakaroto. Goku abrió los ojos. Su voz ahora tenía un tono sereno, equilibrado. Desde hoy yo protegeré este equilibrio. Los restos de energía se disiparon. El universo prohibido volvió a su calma original. Vegeta regresó con Bills y Whis, mientras el nuevo supremo sacerdote ascendía al plano de los dioses, cumpliendo el legado de su maestro. La historia del mortal que superó a los dioses había llegado a su final.
Here are the latest and best news items for the Dragon Ball franchise this week, delivered in a narratable style. This week has brought noteworthy updates for the Dragon Ball universe, giving fans tangible reasons to feel the franchise is moving forward. While no major new anime season or full-on manga arc has been unleashed just yet, what we do have is momentum through game announcements, anniversary initiatives, and long-term strategic positioning. The tone of this update, the brand is quietly gearing up for a big chapter, and the signs are finally aligning in clear ways. Let's begin with one of the biggest items, the confirmation of a new video game project slated for early 2026. The company behind Dragon Ball games, Bandai Namco, has officially flagged that the announcement of a brand new Dragon Ball video game will occur on January 25, 2026 during the big anniversary event. This particular piece of news has substantial weight because it's not just a rumor, this is a scheduled reveal. For fans who've been waiting for the next big title beyond the currently active games, this is a clear marker that something major is in development. What it might be is still unclear. Speculation includes a sequel to a previous major game, an open-world RPG style, or even entirely new mechanics or story approach. But the window of January 2026 solidifies that this isn't idle talk. It means the franchise is lining up its next headline item. What makes that even more meaningful is the context of the franchise's broader 40th anniversary campaign. Dragon Ball is celebrating 4 decades of cultural impact, and this week we're seeing that milestone actively guiding the brand's strategy. Announcements of special merchandise, event tie-ins, and global fan activations are abundant, and the new game reveal fits directly into that narrative. The anniversary period isn't just window dressing, it's being used as a launchpad for the next major phase. From collector editions to fan events scheduled around the world, Dragon Ball is reminding its audience that while the story content might be in rebuild mode, the brand itself is very much alive and hits the ground running. On the game front more broadly, there is also excellent news for fans of the current titles. One of the existing fighting game entries in the franchise has reached a roster milestone beyond expectations. Developers confirmed that the roster now exceeds the 200 character mark, making it one of the most expansive lineups in a fighting game within the Dragon Ball series. Along with that, they announced that additional downloadable content, DLC, is planned, with further details expected in the January 2026 timeframe, aligning with the big anniversary event and game reveal schedule. For players who thought the latest fighting game support had slowed, this is a clear signal. Development remains active and content release is still on the roadmap. Also notable this week, the retail and collectible side of the franchise continues to generate strong activity. The official Dragon Ball site published multiple updates this week around new figure lines, special capsule toys, and exclusive merchandise drops tied to the 40th anniversary theme. For collectors and fans more interested in tangible items than screens, this is encouraging. The brand is keeping fans engaged with physical goods, limited edition runs, and event-exclusive items. These are not minor accessory updates. Some of the products being previewed suggest major collector appeal, and the timing is strategic, with year-end holiday seasons approaching and the anniversary event early next year to build into. From a fan community perspective, this week's news also highlighted the strategic repositioning of the franchise narrative. Several interviews, panels, and commentary pieces, though not brand new this week, continue to emphasize the idea that the franchise is entering a preparation phase for major story content rather than trying to fill time with small, disconnected releases. That means fans should interpret the current period not as emptiness, but as a strategic pause before a next wave. The narrative being communicated, the next major Dragon Ball chapter is not soon in the trivial sense, but scheduled, planned, and aligned with the anniversary theme. For those who follow the story side, anime, manga, new arcs, this messaging offers reassurance that the franchise is not gone dormant, but building towards something purposeful. Another subtle but meaningful piece of news this week, the official Dragon Ball social channels have announced new fan engagement functions, such as weekly quizzes about Dragon Ball history and limited edition merchandise giveaways. While these might sound like small things, they serve two important roles. First, they keep the community active and engaged during a less heavy production period. And second, they subtly reinforce that the franchise cares about its fandom, knows that it's in a quieter story moment, and is compensating by inviting participation and interaction. For narrators, this is a key signal. While we wait, we play together, share together, and celebrate the legacy together. The combination of these items, the scheduled major game announcement, the milestone roster in the fighting game, and continued support for current games, the big push on anniversary merchandise and fan experiences, and the communication of creative repositioning, all converge to give this week's Dragon Ball news a cohesive theme. It's not loud and flashy in the sense of a new anime drop or manga arc, but it's loud in the sense of strategic significance. The brand is using this quieter period to set up its next big wave, and that wave has a date, a celebration, and the signs of investment behind it. For fans tuning in now, here are some practical takeaways. On 4Size57, if you're into the games, this is a very good moment. With a major reveal on the horizon and active support still coming for recent titles, your investment in playing and following Dragon Ball games is justified and promising. On 4Size58, if you're into merchandising and collectibles, now is also a strong time. With limited runs and special anniversary items being released, keeping tabs on official channels, store drop announcements, and retail exclusives is wise. These items may become more desirable through scarcity and significance. On 4Size59, if you're primarily interested in the story side, anime, manga, your patience remains necessary, but with positive indicators. The messaging is, content is coming, and it will likely be aligned with the big date in January 2026. Use this time to revisit older arcs, engage with fan discussions, and appreciate the franchise legacy. The next chapter will come with full presence when it arrives. And on fan engagement, make use of the quizzes, giveaways, and social events the franchise is hosting. These are part of the narrative of we're celebrating now even as we build toward later. In summary, this week's Dragon Ball news sets a tone of momentum, alignment, and anticipation. The major game reveal date of January 25, 2026 acts as the anchor point. The strong support for existing games and merchandise shows the brand is active. And the overarching 40th anniversary framing gives strategic context. While fans may still be waiting for the next full-scale story arc in anime or manga form, what they're getting now is the build-up and preparation for meaningful releases. This is not a pause out of urgency, but a pause by design. And that makes all the difference. So when you narrate this week's update, emphasize the words scheduled reveal, milestone, continuing support, celebration, legacy, and anticipation. The story here isn't just what's happening, it's what's being laid in place. The world of Dragon Ball may not be bursting with new episodes this moment, but it is humming with purpose and energy. And when that release hits, the impact will be greater because it was prepared and planned. Thank you for listening. The next chapter of Dragon Ball is being assembled, quietly this week, significantly next year, and the clock is ticking toward January 2026.